For months, fans have speculated, whispered, and searched for clues. Was it really true? Did Demet Özdemir, the dazzling Turkish star adored by millions, secretly get married far from the flashing cameras and social media lights? The answer, as it turns out, is even more shocking than anyone imagined. What really happened behind those closed doors was not just a secret ceremony, it was a night full of hidden emotions, unfinished stories, and faces no one expected to see. It all started when Demet suddenly disappeared from the public eye. Her usual posts, full of color, laughter, and energy, stopped. Paparazzi couldn't find her in Istanbul, Milan, or even Bodrum. Rumors began to spread like wildfire: she's hiding something big. She's not alone. Something happened in Italy. Days later, the truth began to surface. A private villa, on the coast of Lake Como, had been rented under a false name. Local sources spoke of luxury cars arriving late at night, floral arrangements being delivered discreetly, and a world-famous stylist flying in from Paris. No one knew it yet, but this was the setting for Demet Özdemir's secret wedding. Inside that villa, everything was perfectly arranged, hundreds of white candles flickered against the lake's reflection, and soft music filled the garden. There were only a handful of guests, each one carefully chosen, each sworn to silence. Phones were taken at the entrance. No photos, no leaks. Just emotion. Just the moment. But here's where the story takes a turn no one saw coming. Because among those few people was someone whose presence changed everything, someone from Demet's past. Yaman. The man the world still connects to her name. The man who once shared with her one of the most powerful on-screen and off-screen chemistries Turkish television has ever seen. When his name surfaced in the guest list leaks days later, the internet exploded. Was it true? Why was he there? What did it mean? According to those who were close to the event, Ken didn't arrive as an invited guest, he came quietly, almost unnoticed. He stayed at a nearby villa and appeared only at the very end of the night. Witnesses described a silent, emotional encounter between the two. They didn't need words, said one insider. Their eyes said everything. Demet, wearing a simple but breathtaking gown, not a designer's label but something personal, walked barefoot toward the small altar surrounded by her closest family and friends. There was no press, no sponsor, no glamorous PR team. Only sincerity. But as she exchanged vows, observers noticed something deep in her expression, a mix of joy and nostalgia. Those who know her well say that for a brief moment, she looked at the door, as if expecting someone else to walk in. That moment came just minutes later. Yaman entered quietly, holding a small white rose. The atmosphere froze. Demet turned. Their eyes met. No one spoke. The music stopped. It wasn't anger. It wasn't drama. It was the weight of years of love, misunderstandings, and silence. Sources say Ken simply walked up to her, whispered something only she could hear, and left. Some claim he said, "I'm happy for you," while others believe he said something far more emotional, "You'll always be the one." Whatever he said, witnesses agree that Demet's eyes filled with tears the moment he turned away. The ceremony continued, but her heart seemed far away for a few seconds, lost between the past and the future. The next day, everything disappeared again. No photos leaked, no official confirmation came. But then came a detail that made fans sure. A delicate ring spotted in one of her Instagram stories, posted just for a few minutes before it was deleted. The caption read only, "Some things belong to the heart." Within hours, hashtags like #DemetSecretWedding and #CanAtTheCeremony trended worldwide. Fans split into two camps. Those who believed the wedding marked her new beginning, and those who saw it as a quiet goodbye to a love that had never truly ended. Entertainment outlets in Italy, Spain, and Turkey tried to confirm the guest list. Some reported the presence of a well-known director, hinting that the event might even have been filmed for a future documentary. Others claimed that the ceremony was deeply spiritual, not legal, a symbolic union rather than a registered marriage. And then came the biggest surprise of all, a handwritten letter, said to be from Demet herself, addressed to her first love. The letter surfaced through an anonymous source, and though its authenticity was never confirmed, the words inside captured hearts around the world. "I never wanted to hide my happiness," the letter said. "But I also didn't want the world to destroy it. Some stories don't end, they just find new forms. You were part of mine, and maybe, in another life, we would have finished it differently." The emotional tone of the message reignited every rumor, every fan theory, every unfinished sentence between Demet and Can. Even months later, journalists asked her about it, and her response was simple yet telling: "There are moments that belong only to those who lived them. Not to the cameras, not to the public, just to us." And yet, her words carried an undeniable nostalgia. She didn't deny it. She didn't confirm it. She just smiled softly, the way people do when they remember something too beautiful, and too painful, to forget. Behind the glamour, the photo shoots, and the red carpets, Demet remains a woman who has lived love intensely, who has lost, and who has learned to protect her peace. Her secret wedding, whether official or symbolic, was not a scandal, it was a statement. A declaration of independence, of emotion, and of closure. For many fans, it represented something even deeper, the final chapter in a love story that once felt like destiny. Because when Demet looked at Ken that night, she wasn't just seeing the man from her past, she was saying goodbye to a part of herself. Weeks later, Yaman himself was asked in an Italian interview whether he knew about the wedding. His reply was calm but piercing: "I knew. And that's enough." The interviewer pushed: "Did you go?" He smiled faintly, and said, "Some moments don't need to be public." That sentence alone fueled endless interpretations. Was it confirmation? Was it denial? Or was it simply his way of protecting what little remained unspoken between them? Either way, the emotional storm didn't end there. A few weeks after the wedding, Demet was seen at a charity gala in Milan. Her ring was still on, but something had changed in her eyes. Those who met her that night said she looked peaceful, yet distant, like someone who had closed one door but hadn't fully opened the next. Later, in a heartfelt interview, she said something that fans will never forget: "Sometimes we make choices not to forget someone, but to forgive ourselves." Those words, once again, reignited speculation that her secret wedding wasn't about hiding, but healing. And maybe that's the real story here. Not about who she married, or who was there, or what was said, but about a woman learning to write her own ending, quietly, away from the noise. Demet Özdemir's secret wedding will remain one of the most mysterious and emotional events in Turkish celebrity history. Not because of its secrecy, but because of what it symbolizes: the end of an era, and the birth of a new chapter written in silence, sincerity, and strength. Because sometimes, the most beautiful stories aren't the ones shouted from the rooftops, they're the ones whispered, under candlelight, beside the person who truly understands you. And that's exactly what Demet did. The world may never see the footage, the photos, or the full truth of that night. But for those who believe in love, in destiny, and in the quiet courage of moving on, that one night at Lake Como will forever remain unforgettable.